I had to recreate another video. So, one of the things I want to talk about today is the church. I want to talk about the church because I think a lot of people a church has become so commercialized that we have forgot about the people that are out here suffering and the people who are going through something. You know, when you go to a traditional church, the church is so worried about your money instead of worrying about saving souls, bringing people to Christ. The Bible tells you to bring your money into the storehouse. God said, give to Caesar what is his and give to me what is mine. And a lot of people get that twisted because, we spend so much time going to church that when we get to church, church is supposed to be about praise and worship. But I think people they don't know how to separate the church from the building. We go to a building, a synagogue, a house of praise where we are supposed to give God his praise. And we forget that we are the church. We are the church. And the Bible tells you to bring your 10% to the storehouse. So I ask people, I flip it on them. I say, what is your storehouse? What is your storehouse? When the Bible tells you to bring your tithes to the storehouse, what is your storehouse? People say, oh, you're supposed to give 10% to the church. It didn't say to the church, it said to the storehouse. What is your storehouse? And I want you to use your common sense for a minute. The storehouse. Now, if you know somebody down the street is starving, they don't have clothes to wear, they don't have shoes on their feet, wouldn't you rather take your money to the storehouse to feed them, to clothe them? Wouldn't you want to do that? Isn't that more sensible to you to do that, to bring it to the storehouse? But 9 times out of 10, people are going to take their money to the church. And a lot of these churches are not preaching, are not teaching. We got young folks out here who need to know who he is. But you got so many preachers who put on a circus act and sit inside four walls and don't want to go out and help anybody. I spent most of my time as a minister going out into the streets, trying to get young people to come into church and do something. But what's funny to me is that the same things are happening in the street are happening in the church. And these people don't want to come into the church because why? What for? What do I need to? If the streets treat me better than the church, then why not stay in the street? You don't think for 1 minute that the streets murder people. So does the church. The streets murder people with guns. The church murder people with their tongues. The streets smoke weed, drink. People in the church do the same thing. People and they stab people out in the streets. They do the same thing in the church. They talk about you, worrying about what you wear. The Bible said, come as you are. You are supposed to teach them. They're like babes. But here's the kicker. I did a video about being fake. About being fake. I did a video about that. There's a lot of people in the church who are fake. And you say, well, what do you mean? You got a lot of people in church who will condemn you of what you do and talk about the things that you do, but they don't want to talk about the things that they do. It's just like $100 bill. When you take $100 bill in the store and it's fake, all you got to do is hold it to the light. And then if that strip is not there, then you know it's fake. It's same with a person. If you out here doing stuff and you call yourself a Christian or you call yourself this and that and you're doing a lot of things in the dark, all you got to do is just hold on for a minute because it's gonna come to the light what they're doing. People can get in church and they can growl and they can Baptist church. I go to a Baptist church. I used to. And let me tell you what they do. They sit in church. You're supposed to praise and worship, but they get drawn out on the announcements. They worrying about what the usher department is doing, and we need to have a meeting about this and that. But by the time you get to the sermon, nobody's paying attention because you done lost the attention. The Holy Spirit has left. And then what they do, they put on a good show, especially the ones that ain't talking about nothing and ain't teaching nothing. They put on a good show. And people are getting tired of going to a show. You got the Ringling Barley and Bailey Circus out here putting on circus acts, the Universal Soul Circus. And then you go to church and you but just about get the same thing. And I'm wondering, like, do we really care about society? Do we really care about the things that's going on in the world? You know, God gives us the Bible to talk about love, giving hope. But you have the atheists who don't believe in God. You have the Jehovah Witness who really don't believe in God. You have the Buddhists. You have the Muslims. And you know, these are people that we can convert if we spend time and talk to them and teach them and be nice to them. But we just so busy, you know. Donald Trump and all them got us thinking, and the old George Bush that the Muslims is bad people, and it's just like with a black, just like with Baptists, black people, white people, we all have a bad seed. You know what I'm saying? There's always a bad seed, but what are we going to do to correct that? You know, as a minister, I don't worry about the church. You know, I want to go out and stop the violence, stop the shootings, the killings. You know, one of the things I talked about was that people love the word nigger. That's the new thing now. People hide behind hoods and skinheads calling people niggers. But let me tell you something. When people realize that we come from the same continent, black and white people came from Africa. You know, we done got to the point now that we done became to the United States, and you know, the white race is better than the black, and you just don't realize how much white people are out here that are suffering. You have poor white, poor black. You have that, but they don't want you to know that. There's poor black people, poor white people, and it's out there. And people don't want you to know that. They just want to look like that. The black race is it's all about the black race. The black race is no good. We're nasty. They're niggers. They're this and that. They're all that. And you know, come on, man. Everybody has a nigger in their family, whether you white, black, Mexican, or whatever. The word nigger doesn't bother me. What I'm concerned about is these children that are dying, whether they're white or black. There's children that are being used for sex trafficking, but we're too busy out here fighting over the color of our skin. We're too busy not realizing that the person that they put in the White House right now don't give a damn about black or white. He plays his game. He's not playing the game of anybody else. You see the gas prices are dropping. You see that he's not getting along with anybody. You see that the businesses that he talked about this tax bracket, and their business didn't realize that you had to downsize to a couple of small business to get their tax break. You know, things are really not looking good. And not just for the White House, but it's not looking good for a lot of people. And then they want to talk about the black people. You know, yeah, we have certain bad black people, and just like there's certain bad white people. When they talked about Obamacare, what was funny to me is that it wasn't black people who needed Obamacare. White people with kids who was suffering from cerebral palsy or some type of ailment was the ones who needed it. Black people, to be honest with you, when I was coming up, black people, you know, we didn't worry about health care. The little bit we had was cool, but we had the remedies and we lived and we learned how to survive. We lived off the land. But you know what's funny? These white rich people or these white black people who are Republicans, you take some money from their mouth, they don't know how to live. They start crying and complaining. They don't know how to live off the land. You know what I'm saying? And it's really funny to me that you look on the news and instead of us worrying about why people are killing people, why children are dying, why children are being kidnapped, used for sex trafficking. And you know the ones that are kidnapping half of these children? It's pastors. Pastors. Pastors getting arrested. Pastors are hoodooing people out of money. Popes are out here raping children. Been getting by with it for years, and we sit back and we just fighting over the color of skin. But nobody anymore has any decency to say that Jesus Christ is Lord. Instead of us living in a spiritual world, we're living in a natural world where money has become the issue. People are greedy. America is greedy. You know, they talk about Kaepernick. He kneeled because his comrades had fallen. But the soldiers kneeled. Nobody said nothing about it. Oh, the soldiers went over and fought. The soldiers is the soldiers. We appreciate you. But what about the black people? Do you appreciate the work that they have done? A lot of people don't want to give black people credit. They built a lot of things that you see here today. And now we talk about the Mexicans. Oh, we don't want the Mexicans over here. But guess who's doing all the work now is the Mexicans. I'm for them coming over here, learning and getting along with people. This is the United States. This is supposed to be the land of opportunity. We're supposed to let them come over and teach them. They're over there getting killed, living in poverty, but they want to come over. But I don't understand. What is it about if this country is so free? Why even is the black people not part of the Constitution? Why do we not have no rights? And then other people come over here and we welcome them, but we don't want to welcome Mexicans. We don't want to welcome Africans. We don't want to welcome all different types of nationalities because we are too, what, greedy? We don't want nobody else coming over. There's too many colored folks coming over, as they call it, to interact with each other. We just want the white races. That's how we looking at it. But if you look at it, white people are not from here either. We all originated from Africa. It's in the Bible. The Bible is real. People talking about that old people wrote the Bible. Let me tell you something. Nobody can take from the Bible or add to it. It was here before all of this mess was going on. The scribes that they found over in Africa was go along with the Bible, but you have the atheists, the Muslims, you have the Buddhist people. No, they don't care about humans. Every time there's a new church being started, and a lot of people go out here and start churches and think their religion is right, and there's a satanic church opening somewhere else. And then you turn around, these churches don't last long. They are abandoned buildings. Nobody's in them anymore because people are getting tired of fake ministers. All these ministers are out here collecting your money, living off your money. And one of the things, some churches out here that do good, but the Bible says, give to Caesar what is his and give to me what is mine. And a lot of people get it confused when he said, bring your money into the storehouse, and they automatically run to the church. But let me ask you a question. What is your storehouse? What is your storehouse? We need to look at that. What is your storehouse? You know what my storehouse is when I make money? There's children that need clothes. There's children that need food. There's homeless people out here that need food. Oprah and all them go overseas and start schools for children over in Africa. But what about our children here in the United States? They took paddling out of the school. They don't want you to paddle your kids. Black people say whip or beat our kids. That's it's not like we're beating them, but that's what the term that our forefathers use. And because I say, we need to do that because here's what happens. If a black child get in trouble, the first thing they want to do is suspend them or lock you up because they become a problem. But just as soon as we whip our kids or we out in the store and we smack them on their butt or take our belt off, we are abusing them. I don't believe, you could talk to a child but so much, but I don't believe in timeout. It's time to knock your ass out when you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing. Because nowadays you have to tell these children the truth. You have to raise these children. So many children are so lost, black children, white children, because we're not teaching them the Bible. Everybody always worrying about education, education, education. But what about Jesus? What about giving them some hope that they can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me? We don't want to teach them that. We forget, or we have forgotten how we made it this far. And then you got to look at the drugs, the meth, that new drug called Flocka, the prostitution. Look at all the things that's getting ready to happen because of all these leaders taking away so much. They're taking away so much. And it's not they're killing black people, but that's not the problem. The problem is going to be when white people have to feel the same way that we have felt for years. When I'm walking down the street and I see a white person come to me, instead of them being like, "Hey, how you doing?" We greet, but they don't want to do that because there are some black people who are loud, who are ghetto. We know that. There's white people who are rednecks and they talk junk just like black people talk junk. Black people are loud, so are some white people. Well, then, it's all out there. But the Bible, man, you know, I want people to get out of tradition. Tradition. That's the one thing that runs church is tradition. People are doing things that grandmama did and mama and them did. It's not always right. Yeah, prayer works, but we got to stop talking about people, putting people down, hurting people's feelings. It's got to be about lifting people up. It's not just about black or white. That doesn't do anything for anybody. People will get on here and listen about booty shaking and people cheating and listen to all these other videos, but when you talk about coming together, people won't listen to that. Why? Because you're gonna have people say, "Oh man, black people ain't nothing. I love Trump. Trump is the best thing since what? What is he the best thing since? Tell me. I'll be waiting for it. What is he the best thing since? Make America great. America was great. America could be greater when people start getting along and people start acknowledging one another and helping one another. America was already great. People just didn't realize how great it was. And that's what's funny to me. We have we lost hope. We're listening to these preachers who taking your money and you sitting around driving a Pinto and they driving a Bentley. They're dressed in the nice suits and you barely got shoes on your feet. I was hoping one day that I could just, when God blesses me to get back in the pulpit, I want to be able to have a church that is real. I don't want to be putting on no show, playing with it. I want to teach people. I want to get outside the four walls and walk and teach people. A lot of people don't understand how strong Martin Luther King was. It wasn't about him being black or just fighting for civil rights. He had a dream that God gave him about black people, white people, Jews, and Gentiles coming together. And you know what? We're living in that time where people gonna have to come together because they don't put their trust in Trump for so long that Trump, he might not be the Antichrist, but he damn near close to being something. And it's going to get worse and it's going to get worse and people are just putting people in office just because of a Republican or a Democrat, and that's all you hear: Republican, Democrat, and liberals. But what about humans? We need to get out of this natural life and get back into a spiritual life. And I tell people, get a Bible and just read. Read, read. Ask God to give you understanding. Don't go off of what the preachers preach. You got to know God for yourself because the preachers will send you to hell off of tradition of what they think. But if you read the Bible for yourself, you'll realize a lot of things that they teach you is not even a part of the Bible. God is not going to sit there and just let you just fall. He's not going to let Satan mess with you. Satan mess with you because he know he can. We all have a DNA of sin. But when God gets to a point where he's tired, he will reel you back in. We've done lived out here on our own, doing our own thing for so long that we forget. He gave us this earth to enjoy. He didn't want us to become part of the world and do the things as of the world. He wants us to have common sense, love, give hope, hold each other's hand. I'm gonna give a video when I get ready to start back. My next video is going to be about relationships because I want to talk about how people go before the church and take man-made vows and not vows of God. And a lot of people say, "Oh, you went before God and took a vow." Show me where the vows that you took are in the Bible. I want to talk about that on my next video. But I'm giving y'all a little insight. This is my first video. and I really haven't gotten into it. I will do it tomorrow. I hope you subscribe to this and pass it on because it's going to get interesting. I do this on Facebook and people listen, and I help a lot of people with just common sense knowledge before I go into the Bible. So I want you to share this, and I want people to realize that there's somebody out here who's real, and I'm real. I don't fake, I don't play, I'm not a prophet. I just get on here and talk common sense because people miss the common sense part. If you don't have common sense when you open that Bible, you ain't gonna get it. God talked in parable for a reason. And he wants you to think, and a lot of people don't think. But I'm getting ready to get off here. I'm at work. I don't like to be on here too long. I'm on break. But I will be back in the morning with a new video. And a lot of people wanted me to do this, but I get more comfortable in the morning when I wake up and I'm relaxed and I'm got my brain flowing. So I hope this gave you a little insight of how my videos are. And believe me, it gets rougher and it gets rougher because I have no filter. I'm a man of God, but I'm not like the cussing preacher, but I will talk about everyday life and I will give it to you straight with no chaser. That's going to be my topic, and that's how I am. I'm real. People who know me, I brought a lot of people to Christ just by being real because you can't lie to folks these days. I don't give a darn about politics. I don't give a darn about Donald Trump. I'm here trying to save people. And all it do, it just takes a moment to talk to people about everyday life on what they can change and what they can do. I don't care whether you atheist, Muslim, or whatever. A lot of people listen to me and they get to thinking like, oh man, I've been a Muslim this long. I'm doing something wrong. I don't try to change you. I let God change you. He just put the words in my mouth. And I'm not like any other preacher. So don't come on here talking about, oh, it's just another preacher. No, I'm not like them. I don't dress like them, because I think there's a tradition again. Everybody see preachers in suits and they think that's how preachers supposed to be. They're supposed to carry themselves in a certain way. Jesus was not in a church. He went to the hood, he went to the ghetto, he went to the city, he went out ministering to folks, and he didn't wear no suit. He just wore his attire, which was a robe. I don't have a robe. I do, but I'm not in anybody's pulpit. I'm just going to be as I am. People are like babies to me. You got to teach them, but you got to not beat them in the head because we got to realize that we are the church. We go to a building to worship, but you can't beat people. The streets kill people. The church kill people. So we got to come with a better way of trying to help people. So I hope y'all like this video. You continue to share it, and I hope it's blessed. And I hope people start tuning in to the things I'm going to talk about because it's going to get deep. And I tell y'all, I be in my house or wherever I be walking around, I be talking and I be real about my stuff. So I hope y'all tune in because it's about to be an epidemic. I'm coming real. Have a blessed day. Love you all. Goodbye.